The divisional round is finally in the books, and it's time to give my divisional round recap. Let's go. Broncos versus Bills. What a game this was. In the first half, it was a nightmare for Buffalo, as they were down 23-10 after Denver took advantage of every opportunity. And then in the second half, Buffalo was done playing around, as they finally got back into this game, and even scoring a game-time field goal to send the game into overtime. And in overtime, Denver got the ball first, and then they punt. And then Buffalo got the ball, and they punt. And then Denver got the ball, and they punt. And then on Buffalo's possession, Josh Allen threw a deep shot to Brandon Cooks. And then it turns out to be an interception. Well, in my opinion, it was a catch, but that's besides the point. And then Denver managed to get into Buffalo territory and set up their kicker, Will Lutz, for the game-winning 23-yard field goal to send Denver to the AFC Championship game for the first time in over 10 years. Bo Nix did his job very well. He threw for 279 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And unfortunately for Bo, he will not be playing in the AFC Championship game because he suffered a broken bone in his ankle. And now backup quarterback Jarrett Stidham is going to start in the AFC Championship game against the Patriots. And huge shout out to Marvin Mims, who had 8 receptions for 93 yards and an incredible touchdown late in the fourth quarter. And as for the losing side, Josh Allen had an up-and-down game. He deserves some credit for getting Buffalo out of a 23-10 hole, but he also had 4 turnovers, 2 interceptions, and 2 fumbles. I really do feel bad for Josh Allen. Not only did he blew his golden opportunity on winning his first Super Bowl, but everybody is blaming Allen for this loss. It's not all his fault. Yes, he did have 4 turnovers, but it's not his fault that Brandon Cooks didn't grip the ball when he made that catch, and it's not his fault that his defense managed to get Denver into Buffalo territory. And of course, I have to mention the controversial call, the Brandon Cooks catch that was ruled an interception. His knee was down when he had the ball. His knee was down. And simply put, if they would have called this a catch, or if Brandon Cooks had a perfect grip on the ball, then Matt Prater would have easily nailed the game-winning field goal and send Buffalo to the AFC Championship game, but they decided to call it an interception instead. But we can't change what happens, unfortunately. Buffalo had a gold opportunity to make it to the Super Bowl, but unfortunately they couldn't get it done thanks to the defense and that call. And meanwhile, for the Broncos, they are moving on to the AFC Championship game where they're going to face off against the New England Patriots at Mile High. It should be a good one. Seahawks versus 49ers. The Seahawks obliterated the Niners. Obliterated them. 41-6. And this game was over before it really got going, as Rashid Shaheed started off the game by scoring a kickoff return touchdown. And then Seattle just took over from there. Kenneth Walker III ran a train on the Niners. 19 carries for 116 yards and 3 TDs. And let's not forget Seattle's elite defense. 3 turnovers, 1 interception, and 2 fumbles. The interception coming from Ernest Jones, and the 2 fumbles coming from Ernest Jones and DeMarcus Lawrence. Sam Darnold won his first playoff game in his NFL career, even though he really didn't do anything. I mean, he did had a nice touchdown pass to JSN, but that's pretty much it. And now the Seattle Seahawks are going to the NFC Championship game for the first time in over a decade when they had the Legion of Boom. And they're going to face off against the Los Angeles Rams at Seattle. Patriots versus Texans. This game was an absolute nightmare for CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud threw 4 interceptions in this game, all in which were in the first half. And this was probably one of the worst quarterback performances ever in the playoffs. He was atrocious. And looking at New England, Drake May threw for 179 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception, even though he benefited from New England's defense doing all the heavy lifting. But he did his job well. And huge shout out to Kayshon Boutte, who had 3 receptions for 75 yards, as well as an incredible touchdown catch. And now the New England Patriots are moving on to the AFC Championship game for the first time since 2018. And they're going to go on the road to face off the Denver Broncos at Mile High for the AFC title game. And finally, Bears versus Rams. What a game. It was a back and forth matchup between the Bears and the Rams at Soldier Field. And then the biggest moment happened late in the fourth quarter where the Bears were trying to score a game-tying touchdown to possibly send it into overtime. We're on a 4th down. Caleb Williams took the snap. And then he was being chased by a couple of Rams defenders. And then he went back over 15 yards and then threw up a prayer, which was caught by Cole Kmet on one of the greatest plays I've ever seen on a 4th down. Like, what are the chances? But anyways, that managed to tie the game and eventually went into overtime. And in overtime, the Bears won the coin toss and decided to kick. And then the Rams' first possession went 3 and out. And then the Bears got the ball. They were driving down the field. And then Caleb Williams threw a horrible interception to Curl. And then the Rams took advantage. They managed to get into Bears territory and set up their thick kicker for the game-winning field goal to send the Rams back to the NFC Championship game for the first time since 2021. Matthew Stafford threw for 258 passing yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions, but he did his job well in this game. But the biggest star for the Rams offense in this game was Kyren Williams. 21 carries for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns. And 2 Rams defenders deserve a lot of credit for this Rams win. Cameron Curl for the overtime interception. And of course, Colby Durant with 2 interceptions. Caleb Williams, he actually had a decent game, despite the Bears losing. He threw for 257 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, one of which was an incredible touchdown pass on a prayer to Cole Kmet. But he did throw 3 interceptions, 2 of which was to Colby Durant. Even though the Bears' season is unfortunately over, they had a really good season. They managed to win the NFC North, they beat the Packers in the wild card, and they have their guy in Ben Johnson. And as for the LA Rams, which their logo kind of looks like a croissant, are moving on to the NFC Championship game for the first time since 2021, where they last won the Super Bowl in LA. And they're going on the road against the Seahawks. And I expect that game to be a bloodbath. Oh yeah, and also one more thing. The Bills have fired Sean McDermott after 9 years. And Zach Charbonnet tore his ACL. So yeah.